All right, Adam, what does this accomplishment, being named the 2022 Young Retailer of the Year, what does this mean at this stage of your career?
It's an absolute honor, the fact that I was one of the retailers chosen by the NHPA. Super exciting, I think, for both myself and my wife as we've been kind of endeavoring in this business and expanding it over the last number of years. But I would probably tell you that this is also a testament to our team. We do not have the ability to be able to run these stores on our own, nor do we have an interest in running them on our own. We put a really, really strong emphasis on how we build our teams and how we empower our teams. And ultimately, that's what's been able to set us up for success at an individual level, but also having that strong team. And for example, our Barrie location has allowed us to be able to grow and expand. And so I think that myself being identified as the Young Retailer Award is just as much a testament to how strong our teams are in order to set our business up for success.
So you always knew that you were going to be part of the family business. Can you kind of talk about that and when you knew for sure?
Yep, absolutely. So retail's been in the blood for a really, really long time. My great-grandfather was a grocer. My grandfather on my mother's side was a hardware retailer. My dad's a hardware retailer for a competing brand, but a different. It's still in hardware though. Mm-hmm. My uncle's in furniture. My brother's with home hardware as well. So it has definitely been in the family blood. That's what we grew up talking about around the kitchen table, if you will, and started working. For my dad at a very, very young age, and then transitioned and kind of went out on my own and went with a different banner. But it has always been something that's interested me. It's always fast paced. There's always something different. Causes you to pull your hair out sometimes, but it's a lot of fun though.
You still have plenty of hair left. That's good too. So the three pillars of this award are career accomplishments, community involvement, and hardware education. And so let's take those one at a time. So what stands out in your mind as your greatest career accomplishment so far, and who helped you accomplish that?
Yeah. I would probably tell you this last year has been kind of my highlight for my overall career so far.
Incredible growth over the past
year.
Yeah.
So we went from a single location located in Barrie to 3 locations, which grew our team from 30 to 120 in just under 6 months. And so that has been an extraordinary challenging time for sure. But it's also been a lot of fun trying to learn how to manage that growth, trying to learn how to manage a team that's that much larger as well. And so there's been a lot, I would tell you there's been a lot of personal growth from that, from my standpoint. But there's also been a lot of education from the store level with how we manage our teams and how we end up working together. And it's interesting when you're in that multi-site kind of facet, each store kind of has its own culture a little bit. Yeah. As much as you try to standardize that, I mean, there's different people, so there has to be a different culture. And so learning how to manage within each of those cultures that you're trying to create, because they are slightly different, has been a really fun part of the job. Is kind of what I tell you. So,
going from 1 to 3 stores over the past 12 months, did these opportunities present themselves and you had to capitalize on them, or how did they come about?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had been talking with the previous owner of the Woodstock store for a little while, and we were able to put kind of a win-win deal together with him on that. And then Ingersoll, which is just 15 minutes down the road, that one came on board probably a little faster than I was expecting. Mm-hmm. But it was a great opportunity where we could have a ton of synergies between our businesses, with it only being 15 minutes down the road. So it allows us to have larger in-stock inventory positions. We've got the ability to be able to transfer inventory store to store. Our contractors build in both towns. And so now they've got the same pricing, the same product selection, and they are able to cut their drive time down. And so there's some great consistencies that we're able to have with that, which is why it was too good of an opportunity to say no to, even though at the time I probably felt like I wasn't maybe quite ready yet. It was, we made the jump, and my wife has been wickedly supportive of our growth and ensuring that that we've been able to kind of succeed at the level that we have been, both at work and at home. So.
Okay. So regarding community involvement, now obviously you're involved in 3 different communities. So can you talk about the importance of independent retailers being very involved in their communities, and maybe some examples of how you guys are involved in your communities?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it kind of boils down to the simple fact that the people within our community are the individuals that make a conscious decision every day to shop local and to shop with you. They support you day in and day out. And we as independent retailers, being locally owned and operated, and whether that be in more than one community or an individual community, we've got an opportunity to be able to support the people that choose to support us. So for us, we kind of, that falls into a couple of different categories for us at our stores. So the first category on that would kind of be your one-off, somebody's raising some money, or the Girl Guide cookies they're wanting to sell at the front of the store, just little stuff like that as people are coming in and making asks, or maybe it's donating a barbecue for an auction type of thing. The second bucket is kind of our more long-term relationships or partnerships within the communities. So for example, in Barrie, we've partnered with Pie Education. That's actually a company called Pie Pizza. So they're a local restaurant in town. They own multiple locations across Ontario. And every single year, they fundraise and they go out and they source products in order to be able to pack backpacks for children in need across Simcoe County. So last year we actually packed over 1,500 backpacks. And kind of the unique part for us is it's not just necessarily a financial where we have the ability to make a financial contribution to something, but we're in a unique position where we've got the manpower, we've got the warehousing capability, we've got the trucks to be able to deliver the backpacks. And so we actually had everybody on site this year in the store. We tore apart the whole power aisle, set up a bunch of folding tables, and it was really, really busy. I'm sure it would have been interesting as a shopper to be in there at that day, but so that was just kind of one example of what we do in Barrie. Down in Woodstock, we've partnered with the local Rotary Club. We've got a bit of a homelessness issue in Woodstock, and so they've been working with the town to create tiny shelters. And so Rotary approached us, and we decided to go. They do awesome work in the community, extraordinarily reputable in the Woodstock area, and so we've been able to partner with them. We supplied all of the materials because we kind of identified their need as you have to have one of these things built in order to show town council this is what we're doing, or to show Scott to say, hey, we're trying to fundraise for this. This is actually what this looks like, right? We've got it right out front of our parking lot so people can see it and everything like that. And then the kind of the third category that I would tell you that we get involved in our communities is when there's a really big immediate need. Last year in Barrie, we had a tornado rip through the town. And so the area where it actually touched down, I would tell you it's probably about 95% of my customer base is in this one pocket of town. And so we were in a position where people needed garbage bags, they needed shovels, they needed rakes, they needed gloves, they needed tarps. Those are all the things that we sell, right? And so we were able to load up a truck and drive around and hand this stuff out. And again, this is one of those instances where these are the people that support you every single day, and they've now got an immediate need that needs to be solved. And so it's an opportunity for us to be able to step up and support them too.
Okay. So promoting ongoing education is the third criteria for receiving this award. Can you talk about how you have continued your own hardware education and how you promote ongoing learning with your staff members?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess from my perspective as to kind of how I'm promoting some of my learning, I think a lot of it boils down to different mentorship opportunities. And so one of those people I would for sure tell you is my brother. My older brother, he owns a number of home hardware locations across Ontario as well. And so really discussing and understanding with him as to how he managed that growth, how he managed that stress. What does it look like as a leader to be able to step in and work with your teams? How do you accomplish that? He's achieved all those things as he's been going through. And obviously he's been learning along the way too, right? So I've also got just some other mentors that I have the ability to be able to reach out to help push you and help challenge you as you're kind of continuing to navigate some of those management type of things. And so as far as our employees go, and I think this will end up leading kind of into one of your further questions, which is kind of where do we have an opportunity as an industry? Mm-hmm. And I think that everything's going to boil down to customer service. How do we service our do-it-yourselfers to make their project as seamlessly as possible when they simply have the ability to order the product online? Well, they might be able to order the product online, but we can actually walk them through and show them how they can achieve what they're trying to do. Right. And then from a larger customer standpoint on contractors, everything boils down to how do we service these people? And a lot of that is product knowledge and education. That's empowering your staff to be able to make decisions and really pushing them to seek out additional learnings, whether that's through courses. In Ontario, we have the LBMAO, which is the association up there for lumber and building materials. Mm-hmm. They offer a lot of courses, so we really push our teams to get out from behind the service desk, get out from behind the counter. We're going to send you to this course and walk us through what it is that you've learned. So,
okay, very good. So the last 2 years has been incredibly challenging for the entire industry, the entire world, but especially for retailers in Canada. Can you kind of talk about the last 2 years and the pandemic and what you've learned as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. So not necessarily, not even like, yes, in Canada, it was probably there's been a lot of challenges in Canada with how the pandemic was managed specifically for business owners, mm-hmm. But especially in Ontario. Ontario was literally the only jurisdiction in North America that stripped hardware retailers of their essential status, forcing them to go to curbside. And that introduced a whole host of challenges. We're not Amazon pick centers. And so all of a sudden you've got these stores that are 15, 20, 35,000 square feet of retail space. And I'm sure you've shopped in a hardware store before. More times than not, there's one item on this side of the store and then over here and then over here. And so that was very, very, not just mentally tolling on our staff, but actually really physically tolling. And that presented a ton of challenges. We had to reduce our hours in order to just combat staff fatigue. We had to, some of our locations, again, that really just kind of depended on how your staff were feeling and how you were able to manage your teams through that. Some of them had to close on Sundays. And that was literally for no other reason than just everybody needs to take a day off. We need a break. Everybody needs to put their feet up and just relax for a day in order to keep moving forward. And so as an independent retailer on that, I would tell you we had an easier time than the Home Depots, the Ronas, and the Lowe's of the world. Mm-hmm. We were a smaller footprint. But also as an independent dealer owner, our ability to pivot and make decisions on the fly and fix a process with something like that when it's not working, we can act a lot quicker on that. And so we were able to be quite successful through the process, but it definitely had its physical and mental toll on all of our staff. So.
And are those some of the biggest advantages of being an independent, being able to pivot quickly?
Yep. Yeah, and I would tell you that's one of the great parts about the home hardware brand in Canada is the fact that we truly are dealer owners. We've got a very, very different relationship with our corporation than other corporations and dealers do. We're owners of the corporation. And so one of the things that they really challenge us and allow us to do and push us is tailor your product offering to exactly what your customers are needing. And so depending on where your store is located, some stores have agriculture equipment and stuff like that. And we've actually been able to bring on board in 2 of our locations the full gas and battery powered line of Still, along with a small engines mechanic. And so they really allow us and empower us to be able to go after some of those different business pieces that are available in the market. And so that's for sure an advantage.
So what are your goals for both the short term and long term for you personally and for the company?
Yeah. So I think for the company, I would tell you we've just undergone a full renovation of our Woodstock location. Every single fixture has moved, and that's in order to essentially prep us for an expansion project. And the same in our Ingersoll location, we're planning on putting an expansion project in there. So next year, just depending on supply of building materials in order to be able to build the buildings, we'll see kind of how that ends up going. But next year, we're trying to expand kind of 2 of our locations. And so there's going to be a lot of moving parts to that. In Woodstock, we're looking to add on a 10,000 square foot addition and really attack the outdoor living space, the barbecues, patio furniture. We're going to bring in a little bit of higher end patio furniture to complement our flyer driven products. But also we've just partnered with Cub Cadet as well out of the Woodstock location in order to sell and service a lot more lawn equipment. So we're really going to attack that outdoor living space. And then down in Ingersoll, it's a smaller location. It's 13,000 square feet. In a community that needs a 20,000 square foot store. The community is growing very, very rapidly. Woodstock was actually Canada's 4th fastest growing city in Canada last year. And Ingersoll being so close is gonna obviously benefit from that as well. And so in Ingersoll, we're going to be adding on 10,000 square feet of retail and 5,000 square foot garden center. And so we've got a few moving parts moving into next year and probably the years following on that. But that'd be a big core focus for us.
Sure.
And personally, continuing to grow our family. My wife and I had our first baby last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So she actually just turned 1 on Saturday. And so
you were very busy last year.
Yeah. So her name is Avery. And so we're looking to continue to grow our family. And so, yeah, really excited about that too. So
fantastic. So looking back on your career so far, what do you love most about this business, and what advice would you give to a young person considering a career in home improvement retailing?
I love the pace of the business, and I love the fact that it changes every single day. There's never a dull moment in retail, whether that is a customer issue or a logistics issue with trying to set a contractor up for success, or you get to do a little bit of marketing, you get to be on the retail floor. There's a significant dynamic nature to what it is that we do on a retail basis. And so I would tell you that part excites me. And the pace of how quickly you need to make decisions. And you're not always going to get them right. But my uncle told me before I got into the business, he said, do not, and this would be kind of the piece of advice that I would pass along. Yeah. He said, there's going to be a million decisions coming your way. And the part that really hinders people in this type of role is that they get bogged down and they freeze because they just can't make a decision because they don't want to make a wrong decision. And his kind of comment to me on that was just make the best decision you can as quickly as you can at the time. And at the end of the day, just make more right ones than wrong ones. And so you're going to learn, you're going to pivot from that.
That's great advice.
Yeah. And so it has been a great piece of advice, and 100% we've made some wrong decisions along the way. But we often look at each other as a team and go, well, we're not going to do that again. And we pivot and we move in the different direction.
So what can we as your trade association do to help you continue to succeed?
Yeah, you know what, I think exactly what you guys are doing here now, where you're able to highlight and spot and provide a bit of a spotlight on some different retailers within North America. I think that's a pretty incredible honor to be able to be a part of. But even for the honorees previously and the ones moving forward, I think it really shines a bit of a spotlight on them for us to be able to share our stories and be able to learn from each other. So,
and I'm sure there's some people you'd like to thank.
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife, Jasmine, has been exceptionally supportive with our growth, with having to work some long hours. And then also, while she's been on her mat leave, doing everything that she can in order to create a home and a space that I'm excited to be able to go back to every single day with our daughter and with her. And so that's been a huge weight off of my shoulders to know that she's really, really pushing and helping set our home up for success. As I've been focusing on some other things from a business standpoint. And the next people would be Cindy Smith. She's my general manager of my Barrie location. So Cindy actually used to be with Beaver Lumber. So that was way back in the day. So Cindy's been around for a really, really long time. I always joke with Cindy, she's been in retail for about as long as I've been alive. And Cindy literally showed me the ropes at home hardware. She really walked me through and helped me understand how home hardware functioned, how it operated. I was only 26 when I purchased my first store. And so she really stepped in beside me and helped mentor me through that process. And then again, just our teams across the board in Woodstock and Ingersoll and in Barrie as well. Big part of our reason for success in being able to expand is the fact that our teams have really stepped up to the plate, and they've allowed me to be able to go out and pursue expansion opportunities. Because at the end of the day, if your team doesn't have the ability to support that growth, well, then you can't actually achieve it. And so they're a huge part of that, as well as my dad. He's always been a guy that's been an awesome support for me. Even when I grew up as a really young kid working for him, and really just setting an example of the work ethic out of an individual, and just really what it takes to kind of succeed in this business. He's been an exceptional role model, and I'm sure I've probably forgotten somebody, but those would be kind of the ones that are at the top of mind. So
okay, very good. Well, congratulations again,
Adam.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.